That's it. Another text possible, yes. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Today is the second day, day 2 of the Tech People Want online summit. For you who are just starting your day, as I am, in the south part of the world, for you who are in the afternoon or in your evening in Asia and the east side of the world, thank you very much. Today we have 3 spotlight sessions, as we are calling them. I'll just explain what it means now, and then we will finalize with a keynote in the end of the afternoon in a few hours. The first day was very inspiring and refreshing. Lots of interactions. I hope this vibe remains and keeps during the day today. And I'm really happy to run this initiative and see this community growing and putting this critical thinking out there around the tech we want and the tech people want. Great. So I don't want to lose more time because we have really stick to 1 hour to each panel today. The spotlight sessions are not demos as we did in the first summit that we ran in October last year. The idea here, as we are focusing on like non-technical people and people in general, so we're not talking about developers or engineers or people working with technologies, but we are really addressing like the societal issues. So that's why we changed it a little bit, the dynamics and the design of the sessions to be like the spotlights of some projects and initiatives and not really demoing one specific product. It will happen, but it's not really focused on digital products, but more in, as I said, like a broader societal approach. So this first panel we have, it's called Tech for Society. We are, let me just get the, what we said is like this session explores digital tools designed to bridge divides, act together on a human scale. I think this is the important part of it, and support reconciliation also as a broad term. So we have here with us Nathan Coyle. He's a senior Peace Tech advisor at the Austrian Institute of Technology. He'll talk more about the Peace Tech Alliance that has been just launched. We have Mallory Knodel. She's executive director and founder of Social Web Foundation. So she will tackle like all the social interactions and social platforms issue we are living today. We have Simona Levi. She's the founder of Xnet and an activist. And we have Topuzogullari Sayat. It's hard to pronounce, sorry. He's the coordinator of the Observatoire, the armements in France, an organization with which we have the pleasure to collaborate in the past few months. Each presentation today is followed by a chat with the presenter, so it's not a panel officially. Each of you guys will have 15 minutes in total, so we have 1 hour summing up all the interventions. So more or less 10 minutes for presentation and then conversations with the audience. We want to really be conversational. We really wanted to give more time for everyone, but also we want to have like many initiatives in the room, so we need to balance. And I hope this time is useful and enough for everyone. Yeah, that's it. We can get started. I think maybe we can follow this order of alphabetical name by surname, starting with Nathan. But also encourage everyone who is following us and participating in the chats to just comment and put your questions there and react to what's being said. And then I'll do the role of like hosting and trying to moderate and put these questions to each speaker when they finish. If that's okay, Nathan, I'll make you presenter. We can test if something goes wrong. We are also, overall testing Big Blue Button in scale this time for the first time. These are attempts also to go out of proprietary platforms such as Zoom, Google Hangouts, and so on. So bear with us.
Cool.
we want to make this work. So now you're a presenter, Nathan. I will turn off my camera, so you have the entire stage for you, and I think you'll be able to share your screen now. If not, let me know.
I just need to figure it out because I don't know how to share my thing.
There's no.
But it's okay. I can just talk about it if that's easier.
No. I can share if
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm using my current
let's try it.
computer.
Take a look. There's a button in the bottom there, like when you can like share screen sharing, something like this. There's like microphone, camera.
Nein, ik kan niet zien. What is this? Nein, ik weet niet. Sorry, I don't know. I don't know how to use it.
Oh, I'll try to make sure the presentation is there. Please go on, and then I'll try to put the presentation for you. Just
are you going to run the presentation?
Yeah, I'll try, but please start.
So let me know when it's up. So while that's happening, I'll introduce myself. So hi everybody, my name's Nathan Coyle, and I wear various different hats here in Austria. So I lead on Peace Tech for the Austrian Institute of Technology. I lead something called the Peace Tech Alliance, which the Open Knowledge Foundation is a part of. I also lead on Peace Tech for the Austrian Centre for Peace, and I sit on the European Union EAB Cyber Board. So what I'll be talking about today is Peace Tech. So the Peace Tech that we want, I'll be giving you a little bit of a crash course of what that is and what that kind of looks like in practice. And I'm not sure if the presentation is going to come up, or if not, I'll give you a little crash course where it is. So Peace Tech, I'm still not convinced if it's a buzzword or not, even though I work in Peace Tech and I lead on Peace Tech. But when I talk about what it is, people are confused almost immediately. So the idea of what Peace Tech is, it's using it for technology to address conflict, reduce violence, and promote peace and social cohesion. Now, that's really broad, because when people ask me what Peace Tech is, I go, well, it depends how you use it and how it's put in practice. And they ask me, so is this Peace Tech when you're using data? And I go, yeah, there is Peace Tech. Is Peace Tech listening to social media chatter in the field? And I go, well, that is Peace Tech too. So it's kind of broad. And I'm also trying to come into the point now that, like, is Peace Tech a series of tools, or is it more of a methodology? So if you follow in the presentation, I am now on the screen that says, how is Peace Tech deployed? So that is number 4, my friend. What a glamorous assistant you are. It's actually number 5. So let's look at how Peace Tech is deployed. So next slide, please, and slide again. So this is always better to explain it in kind of nuanced ways, because again, that broadness, so we can use it for communication and mediation. Next slide, please. And I won't go into all this because of we'll be here all day. Digital storytelling and empathy, so using VR. We use a lot of VR in our work here in Austria. We have 2 different projects. Next slide, please. Education and digital literacy. And then I think I'll just wing it, because I think like it's a bit of a pain in the bum to make you keep saying next slide, please. So education and digital literacy, and you can get rid of that if you want to. And cybersecurity and digital protection. And then the final one, which is where a lot of the things happening at the moment, is around digital data analysis and early warning systems. So how can we use satellite technology to preempt conflict? A lot of this is used in places like South Sudan at the moment. Environmental peace building is a massive issue. And so if there's drought coming, and we can see that, we can do something about it before it happens. Or livestock going missing, another massive problem that we can kind of mitigate before that turns into an issue. And then finally, I want to kind of give this its own little area, is artificial intelligence and peace building. Now, AI is the big thing at the moment. They're talking about it a lot in using for peace building. I don't think it's fit for purpose yet. I think there's an actual intrinsic problem with using artificial intelligence for peace building. And that's not just because of the data biases that we have within our data. As we all know, we all work in it, data is racist, data is sexist, and unless society changes, there isn't really anything we can do about that. But obviously every AI issue, every platform has that issue. But my big issue with using AI for peace building is the data imbalance. So for example, MIT recently did a study on that 90% of data that trained AI models are from America and Europe, with 4% coming from Africa. But in the last global data conflict report, it stated that over 80% of conflicts happen elsewhere in the world. So you haven't really got to be a data scientist in order to highlight there's an intrinsic issue there that if we don't fix, it's absolutely not fit for purpose. And this is where it comes into, if you're building tech for people not in a human-centric way, it's pointless. Like I always say, when it comes to peace tech, if it isn't accessible, then it's completely pointless and actually it would do more harm than good. So the idea of peace tech is fantastic, but there's some kind of industry issues that we have across tech, which are kind of crawling over into peace tech at the moment. Now, in regards to data, then there are some samples in figures in this presentation, but it's a bit of a pain to do, which I'm sure that Lucas can share the presentation. I'm more than happy for that to happen. We also did some work with the Open Knowledge Foundation. I will put the link. It's the one with the green background, Lucas.
Yeah, let me know when you want me to
you can go to it now if you want, Lucas. You can go to the green background, the yellow background. Yeah, not the green one, the yellow one. But you don't have to if it's trouble. So basically we did this one. So we did some work with intergovernment organizations in Austria last year, and some colleagues from the Open Knowledge Foundation came, and we asked peace builders, what do you want? What do you want to see? What do you want peace build data givers to realize when they're improving their outreach in regards to us as peace builders? And there's some really interesting information there. One of my favorite things was like gamification, so playing with the data and finding the data that way. You can download that as DOI, and then basically, so we led from that work to set up something called the Peace Tech Alliance, and it's 3 slides away now, Lucas, if you can find it. I know it's a pain in the bum. So basically, the Peace Tech Alliance is been set up by the Austrian Institute of Technology and Gaia X. That's perfect, mate. And you can see the link there. It's partners all across Austria, including the wonderful Open Knowledge Foundation, which I'm absolutely chuffed. And so basically what we want here is to have a ground up conversation to peace tech. What are the needs of peace builders and how they can influence policymakers across the country. And if you go to the next slide, please, I'm going to finish on some of the work we did here in Austria very, very recently. There's the next slide, please, Luca. So what is the peace tech? Austria wants, if you can see what I did there. So we held a dialogue here in Austria, bringing together most of the ministries, along with universities and third sector. And basically, we're trying to create a cohesive outlook to what a peace tech narrative is, and portray that into the European Union, and try to encourage and influence other people or other nation states to kind of use human-centric as a base when it comes to designing peace tech. And some of those were, building technological skills for peace. We recognize as a country that is neutral sitting in the European Union. We have a special place when it comes to our narrative. We have many peace-building organizations here in Austria, and many people who have spent time in the field, and then a lot that, so we do need to realize that these are issues on the field, and how we can address that is by working with them. Data sovereignty for peace. Data sovereignty is a massive deal in the European Union at the moment. You may have heard of Gaia X. And so we want to kind of use Austria as the medium within the European Union to influence Gaia X to have more work in peace building, building federated data spaces for peace builders. And also finally, and I'll leave you on this, creating a domestic peace tech ecosystem here in Austria, and how we can kind of put that forward again across from a global scale of Peace Tech done well, Peace Tech done good, Peace Tech listening to people within the community. So yeah, that's what we're working on here in Austria at the moment. So the Peace Tech Alliance is one of our kind of flagship projects. We're trying to build Peace Tech from a human-centric narrative, but we're also trying to shine a light on the global disparities of data when it comes to using AI for peace building, again, until we do something about this conversation of the imbalance of taking it from a global north-centric to more of an overall-centric. We have a lot of problems we need to sort out first. But yeah, thank you very much. Sorry it was a bit chaotic. And any questions?
Yeah, I see people are typing in the chat. If you have any questions, please just leave them there, or you can also open your microphone and talk to Nathan directly. Let's see people typing.
There's one question also in the notes, Lucas.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't see it. Yeah, go ahead, Sarah, if you want to.
Oh, I would invite the person that wrote the question if they want to unmute themselves and ask the question. Otherwise, we can always read it alive.
What is the local dimension and what is the global dimension? That's a pretty hard question to answer, isn't it? Because Peace Tech is so broad. So the local dimension, from an Austrian perspective, obviously Austria portrays a certain image out to the world, neutrality. And for Austrians, it's good. And this is me speaking personally, not officially. It's good policy, basically, to take a lead on Peace Tech, especially within the European Union. The global dimension, I think I need more context on that. So what do you mean by the dimension of peace builders on the ground? So if from my interpretation of that question, the global dimension would be, look, you have these peace builders, especially European EU people who work in missions, right? So we're talking across the European Union at the moment as how we can create federated data spaces, how we can make data more secure and clear. But then you have people who are coming from missions that go, Nathan, people in our mission don't even know how to turn a computer on. How can we have a bigger conversation about, skills and stuff on the ground? I think the global dimension needs to be about, look, it's not all about the European Union. It's not all about how the EU can make the world a better place. I think it's better how we can be actors for change and be people who listen to people and enact that instead of steamrolling over people. I mean, I'm from Britain originally, and when it came to a lot of public administrative procedure, they would steamroll over a lot, and then you'd have like this kind of top-down conversation and trust would be broken. So trust and listening, I assume.
Yeah, trying to moderate something here. I don't know if you all guys, I'm learning as well about Big Blue Button. There's like these notes in the left menu. Nathan, you can also access this. There are a few questions and notes, observations there. Mm-hmm. I think we can tackle one more now. I assume we will just be late for all sessions today.
It always happens.
Keep the track of the time. Yeah. But if you can take one more comment around the questions that are being made in the show notes, I think
any particular one you want me to address?
Yeah, there's about the Austrian neutrality as a good policy. The EU people working in peace missions need data, so it's not actually a question. How we can be an agent of change regarding the.
I think so. There's a question here that's quite interesting. Curious of how this might relate to citizens' assemblies.
The last one, yeah. Go ahead. Go for that.
So I mean, I'm well into that. Obviously, data commons and all that. And this is what I want to try and build with the Peace Tech Alliance. And so even though the Peace Tech Alliance is technically owned by the biggest research institution in the country, I'm always, sometimes to their detriment, going, we don't own this, the people own this, and we need to kind of bring that together, of all these different voices and making sure that there is co-ownership. And now sometimes people throw co-ownership around a lot and it doesn't really mean anything. But I think in this kind of context, that everything that is designed in Austria, because it's such a new thing, Peace Tech, the people can have a say in how it goes forward. And so obviously, we work with everyone from government to activists on the ground. And I think like now Austria is turned into, like, in my eyes, like the punk rock cousin of the European Union, because they kind of embrace more of a destructive view when it comes to the commons. But back in England, we had something called the Citizens' Assemblies, the People's Assemblies. I'm sure that you know those, and they were fantastic at community development and how they can have like shared ownership of an agenda. Now, I want to bring community development into Peace Tech, and this is what we're trying to do with the Peace Tech Alliance. And I think, Luca, I think I'm fair to say that obviously the Open Knowledge Foundation is a supporter and a partner in the Peace Tech Alliance, and maybe going forward we should actually hold an event on this, because I think that there's loads of really important stakeholders that you guys have that can help globally to create a Peace Tech agenda, because it shouldn't be Austrian, it should be a global thing, because like we're very lucky to live in Austria and some of our countries where peace is, seen as a human right. It's not the same everywhere else in the world.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a pity. I feel bad already because there are lots of back and to talk about these things that you're bringing to us today, Nathan. But I really encourage you guys to interact in the notes, maybe like you can just jump in there and also talk and put your answers there, and also in the chat. Anyway, let's try to self-manage us with the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say that we will probably do an Open Knowledge Peace Tech event on this at some point, so don't worry.
Yeah, super. It's really great to have you here. Really great. Let's go quickly to Simona Levi now. Apologies to Simona that you really told us that you needed to leave early, so I'm just changing the order of the things now to accommodate Simona and does not bother her commitment. So go ahead, Simona. I'll just stop sharing my screen. If you need help with screen sharing or something, just let me know.
Okay, so everybody, hi everybody. I'm very happy to be here with the good colleague Fighter. I have no presentation because the time is very small, so I try to explain some of the experience that can be useful for all of you and also for us, you to know. The first thing is that we have a central worry that we explain in several reports we have done for the European Parliament and also in Spain. That is that everybody is really busy with flashy artificial intelligence and quantic and whatever. We have the Barcelona computer center, but the daily life of citizens are still in the hand of big tech. There is no other solution. The administration is completely, at least in Spain, but in most of the country that we work with, private company with private code and software. So they are not only dangerous for privacy, but they are even just only very inefficient. So people hate more and more bureaucracy, which is fair, but sometimes it's absolutely not necessary. And this is also, we think, one of the shift of the political situation more in general. So in 2019, previous the COVID, we have started a project in schools because a group of family didn't want that their kids from the age of 4 start their digitalization in school by having a Gmail account and having everything in a Google Cloud, all the material, but also all the report on their behavioral reports and etc., their calendar, their activity. So everything done with the Google suite, which is what we use in Spain, but we know that at least in the EU, the 80% of education is or Google or Microsoft, and for sure not in sovereign software. So we have started a prototype. We have launched with this family a prototype with the city of Barcelona of using consolidate is called the DD, the Democratic Digitalization, and the idea is something that is absolutely no new, is to use consolidate free software to build a suite for education. So this is not new, but we have been studying, this is the interesting part, we have been studying why the free software that was, of course, pioneer much before the big tech being used in education, as Moodle, for example, and other more recent, why at the end is not working, why the big tech take the terrain. The first answer is pretty obvious, but we can go deeper on that. The answer is that the big tech are giving a solution for our government so that they just have to shut their eyes, and then suddenly everything for free is digitalized. So this is wonderful for the government, and it not only is digitalized, but is even the program on digitalization in school is done by the big tech, so that they customize the use we do to their interest. And this is great for the governments, because they absolutely don't have to ask themselves any question on how it should be a democratic digitalization of education or administration. But this is, of course, a problem in which I would like to have a lot of money in order to litigate every day with all our governments, because it's forbidden by, at least by European law, because you cannot just not do public tender to digitalize the all education of a country. And so all these have been done for free. So doing dumping in the field of economic field of digital, so that nobody else can compete, which is illegal in Europe. It is also illegal to not have a public tender for public infrastructures. So on one side, we think there is an important field to litigate, and to litigate we have just to use Directive 23 and 24 of 2014. And then, of course, there is a large field of pressure in order to force the public tender to include the social good, the general interest, means the free software, in order to create the ecosystem that can provide, to create a local ecosystem that is able to provide the public infrastructure. The idea, of course, is to build together of other colleagues that are on the same path, a public code for essential services such as administration, health, education, etc. A public code done by governments, by corporation, by enterprise that does free software, companies that does free software, and developers and users. And this is something that we are doing with the city of Barcelona. Another thing that is new in respect the normal idea of course, using free software in the public in the education and also in the administration and in general in essential public services, is that this is I've just exposed the mistake on the side of governments and institutions. And so that we have to fight for, politically, to change politics. But then there is a mistake from our side, the fighter for the open source and for the free software. And I think is that a single sign-on is not enough. I think we should really compete with the efficiency of a Google suite. And this means that is not enough, a single sign-on is not enough to gather the different free software consolidate that we are all using, but it is essential to create a software, and this is what our DD, the Digital Democracy for Education, that we are building. We are not building, my organization Xnet is not building in, we are just lobbying and directing the project, but of course we do it through public tenders. So we ask the city of Barcelona to do public tenders in this direction, open to anyone, even worldwide. So what we do, that I think it's an error that we should think and work in this direction for the public code for Europe, is that we should merge the tools, means to have one only library. And in this sense, in this perspective, we are really innovating, and I think that we propose something that can really compete with the efficiency of big tech and usability of big tech. So a part of this, every year we do a conference for the, which is Digital Right and Democratic Digitalization, in which we are awarding and also presenting prototype in order to defend with the practice tools that goes for democratic digitalization. So we are open and very happy to be in touch with all of you and your very good work. I'm open for any question if you need.
Just jumping in again here. Thank you very much, Simona. It was really rushy. I'm sorry. I know you need to go. But there are like a few questions there just being put in the shared notes now. So I'll just read them. I'm curious, in your experience, what are some of the barriers in public procurement processes that prohibits procurement of FOSS, free and open source software?
Yeah, and also I see the question in the chat. Basically, stupidity. Basically, stupidity is what, but is a pervert stupidity, because in my experience, we have a very, very big problem for innovation, because the legal team of institutions just say, and I know that even in Europe, the Institution for Free Software in Europe is having a problem, a very important problem, because for using PeerTube, because what is considered legally is that if we say that have to be free software, it's considered the non-loyal competency. I cannot translate this very well. So it considered that you break the rule of an open contract, which is absolutely stupid, but it's under the rule of we have done like this always, so we cannot change. So there is a very huge fight here in order to consider that impeding do this change, impeding us for this condition for the software. We also want to bring this to tribunals, because now the directive to 2014 permit to fight for this, because it say that the social advantage can be a condition. So we defend that free software is a social advantage. And so I'm sure that if we can fight one big trial on this in tribunals, then we can shift the situation in Europe on this condition. And about the French, we are having a lot of conversation and exchanges with the French platform, because in France they are really much advanced on the level of government about defending free software. They have proved it during the presidency in Europe, but still we think that is still a single sign-on. And the single sign-on, even if you have, for example, a picture that you are using in a WordPress and you want to use the same picture in Nextcloud, you have to have two different libraries. And this makes the only huge difference of usability for between big tech and free software. So I think we really have to fight and to generate software in order to solve this problem. This is the only barrier so that we can be as good as in usability as the big tech.
Maybe a final one, how to decide how to merge the efforts together, being together in this fight. Needs are not exactly the same everywhere in the world.
Sorry, sorry, to merge what? Sorry?
To merge the efforts that you were talking about. How to fight a global fight. That's, I think.
I just say, of course, when the code is public, it's and we are using public code as Mozilla Firefox, or so. Of course, is global. I am just since I'm specialized in EU legislation, I know the code, of course, have to be for everybody. The only problem is I'm trying to forcing the law in Europe just because is where is my competence to do it, but of course it should be all over.
Great. I don't want to make you even more late to your commitment now, Simona. I'm so sorry. Thank you very much for coming. We're officially 10 minutes late for the session. If you guys have any final question for Simona, I'll give you like 3 seconds to put them in the chat or the shadow notes. And if not, I really thank you, Simona, and looking forward
to you all. Keep up the good fight.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Well, we are in a rush. Everyone who is following us, sorry. I don't know if Mallory is online now. She's executive director for Social Web Foundation. It's really great to have you there. Yeah, great to have you here. Welcome. I'll give you the floor.
Thanks. Can you hear me okay?
So we are not even more late. I can, yeah. Do you need to present?
No.
No? Okay. So I'll just drop my camera and then the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thanks so much for inviting me. It's really cool to be here and to talk to you all. It gives me such a flashback to be using Big Blue Button because I spent some significant years, maybe almost like 10 years ago, trying to use Big Blue Button as an alternative to Skype, because a lot of the social movements I was working with at the time were really excited to be able to connect their meetings, global conferences using internet, like video, audio tools. But, you know, in the late 2000s, the only option basically was Skype. And we were thinking, like, as free software activists involved in movement building and building technology for social movements, you know, we needed to find free software alternatives, and Big Blue Button existed then. We were trying to get folks to use it, but it was really hard. It's just really challenging to use. So yeah, if I'm not presenting, so if you have your a presentation mode open, there's like a little button in the lower right of the screen. You can just unclick that, and then you're just going to see me for the next 9 minutes or so. So yeah, I'm Mallory Knodel. I, at the current moment, am representing the Social Web Foundation, which is a small organization I founded with Evan Prodromo and Tom Coates about a year ago. But I do other things. Like I mentioned, I've been actually pretty active in free software and social movement since the early 2000s. So I've done a lot of things in the meantime. I've only ever worked either for small movement groups, maybe as a consultant, maybe as a small technologist or so on, or for nonprofit organizations. I haven't worked for governments or tech companies, but I work with them a lot, just because a lot of what I've done over the years is global internet governance. So there's a lot of there's a lot of people involved. You can imagine a lot of different equities. But the reason I got so excited about the Social Web Foundation enough to quit my job on Capitol Hill as a tech activist, tech advocate, was because it seems like such an incredible moment that a lot of the stuff we built ages ago, the ideas of the open web, that were super alive in the 2000s, 2010s was coming back because the moment was, we're tired of billionaires. We're really bored by these platforms that don't really do what we want them to do. The content is dumb. The experience sucks. And so like, let's just leave and build our own thing. And I was like, I'm all in for that. That sounds like an awesome idea. So the Social Web Foundation is meant to help steward this moment. As you know, if you are following this at all, if you have accounts that are not on the big tech platforms, and a variety now exist, the ecosystem is really proliferating. There are so many people doing such great work. And the Social Web Foundation is just one part of that ecosystem. It's certainly not trying to capture it all, but I think what we're trying to do is steward it in a similar way to how the open web has been stewarded by various bodies like the World Wide Web Consortium and so on. And the internet itself. So like I'm an internet networking person for the most part, and you know, like Internet Society or Internet Archive, like there's a bunch of institutions, I say that loosely, there's a bunch of various kinds of organizations, groups, bodies, and so on that kind of help to steward certain big ideas where you have a bunch of different actors in an ecosystem. And I feel like that function is really helpful to try to, you know, set, kind of do agenda setting in a way. And of course, it's an open ecosystem. So folks that, you know, want to build their own agendas or want to exist outside of that, like totally can do that. Google can do whatever it wants, right? So let me talk about the Social Web Foundation in terms that I'm very used to as a nonprofit person, like strategy. So we've set forward a sort of strategy for the Social Web Foundation. I think it helps, it might help to at least give folks an idea of where we're coming from and the kind of work that we envision in the very long term. So it's a sort of visioning exercise to talk about strategic planning, or if folks have heard of theory of change, you are very much in the nonprofit land. So we're sort of long-term outcomes for an open social web ecosystem is has kind of three parts. And this, again, like very long-term vision, we're talking decades, we're not talking years, is that the standards and the code continue to thrive. The implementations of ActivityPub, for, you know, is one very prominent example that we're spending a lot of time on, that continues to be extended, to be expanded, and so on. The second long-term outcome is that implementers of this code and these standards continue to be incentivized to do the right thing. This is kind of the opposite idea of what Cory Doctorow talks about with enshittification. Like that is a result of the wrong incentives. And so a long-term outcome that we need to think about is how to set and steward the right incentives so that many, many, many years from now, we end up with something that we still like to use. And then the last long-term outcome, and this might seem just like a little squishy, but is happiness and joy, and just like wanting people to feel creative and enjoy social media. Like if folks are trying to follow me on social media, it might be kind of hard because I'm not really on social media, and it kind of seems weird that I'm part of a foundation that works on social media now. But I mean, kind of that is, again, a consequence. Like I'm not a huge fan of it because the experience for me isn't really bringing me joy. And it still isn't quite there, I'll be honest, but I'm giving it a best effort. I'm trying to build the world I want to see there, along with many of you, and I appreciate you for that. So we have then a vision. I'm literally reading our strategic plan. The Social Web Foundation's vision and mission is that we cultivate a healthy, sustainable, equitable, and multipolar fediverse so that people can flourish on the connected social web. That word fediverse I paused on because it's not a word that a lot of people know what it means. And so maybe you all do, but we're also trying to think about how do we explain what is the open social web in terms that both insiders and outsiders understand. Let me talk about then the actual program, like what are we working on? What is the daily work that we hope to see? And before I do that, though, I'll actually talk about who's involved. So I already talked about the founders of the Social Web Foundation. I'm not going to speak for the bios of both Evan and Tom, who's not involved day to day anymore. But suffice to say, like both Evan and I have worked in free software for some decades. I think he and I met at a Libra Planet in like 2008. I don't even know, honestly. Also the other thing we have in common is that we both do standards work. So I spend a lot more time in the IETF because I do networking and internet stuff. Evan spends a lot of time in the W3C. He worked on the Activity Pub standard there. And there's a bunch of work as well that I've followed over the years in the W3C as well. So that's kind of where we're coming from. I do a lot of social movement work. And so maybe before I get into programs, I'll just say one last thing, which is what's important for me about any tech work these days. It doesn't matter if I'm doing it for a nonprofit or a consultant or whatever, is I need to have for myself answered technology for what, right? Like, great, it's free software, or we're trying to disrupt inequities, we're trying to challenge the market, etc. But for what? For me, has to be social movements, has to be human rights, has to be people-centric, and not just every person. I mean, I hate to say it, I love everyone, but I think that the real impact comes from being very clear about how these technologies can benefit everyone. And so I'm running out of time, but I did mention I wanted to get to discussing what programs we work on and our daily work. So I'm just going to really quickly list them. So the first program is around standardization. The second program is around implementation. The third is around communities. The fourth is then the foundation itself, like the Social Web Foundation as a program of work. And so the goals within those things, you can sort of imagine we've set forward things like in the standards work, we want to extend the activity pub specification to have end-to-end encrypted direct messages, for example. Like there's a bunch of like projects related to that. For implementers, so the other thing I probably should have mentioned at the top is the Social Web Foundation is actually comprised of all of the implementers of Activity Pub and then some other actually protocols. And so that means we have sort of captive audience. So anyone who's working on Activity Pub platforms, they kind of all work together. So that's why our second program is around implementers. We can kind of help set the tone for how these things interoperate, how different platforms work together or don't, and what that means for the ecosystem. Anybody who works on a protocol knows that the work only starts once the standard is set. You actually then have to implement it, and a lot is often left up to implementations. Community is where I spend all of my time. I talk about human rights at a variety of different fora. I try to get folks of the most affected communities thinking about this. It's like, what would a social web that is pro-sex worker look like? How would you design it? And what do people need to know about like policies, implementation, and so on, like just as an example. And then the last thing, obviously, is we're trying to steward this organization. So we hope you'll check us out. I'd be super happy to answer any questions here, but I'm also extremely happy to talk to you on the internet. I'm fairly easy to find, so don't hesitate to reach out if you want to have a conversation. So I'll stop there. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Mallory. I'm really sorry for making you rush a little bit, but I think the message is captured. Really cool. Thank you very much for giving all the context and so on. We have a few questions in the chat. Actually in the show notes. I don't know if you're accessing, as you have more experience on BBB, Big Blue Button than us do.
It's changed a lot since 2009.
Yeah, yeah, we are learning actually, but yeah. So how to make the Fediverse more accessible to people? Let's start with this one.
Yeah. Can I give the most controversial answer to that question that I can think of?
Please do.
I actually think that the existing platforms that I shit talked in the beginning, I actually think that they should adopt open protocols so that everyone using those old, crusty, annoying platforms automatically get the benefits of the open social web. And I'm going to back that up by saying this is kind of how end-to-end encryption worked. I've worked a hell of a lot on end-to-end encrypted applications. And one thing we did was we didn't just try to get new end-to-end encrypted applications on the market. We tried to convince the existing ones that they should, existing messaging, right, that they should adopt end-to-end encryption to make it ubiquitous. And that's like what happened with WhatsApp. And like, boom, 1 billion people had end-to-end encryption. So that is my answer to that question. I could answer that in other ways, but I thought I would start with the most provocative one.
Yeah, there are a couple more. Romy, hello. Your session is next. Yeah, if you can quit your camera.
Oh,
and
cool.
Then
yeah.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
One
yeah,
more.
go ahead. Yeah, go for that. Yeah.
There's no need to keep going. Yeah. Let's see. How would you reconcile the fact that most contributors who can contribute to FOSS are privileged? I really just want to resonate with asking that question out loud, because I do have this challenge as somebody who I'm used to working as a person in social movements and working in like especially feminist spaces and so on. I find the Fediverse, like my account and the people I interact with and so on, like super monoculture. And to name it, it's North American white men who work in tech. And it's also the exact same kind of crowd I find, well, not exact same, but very, very similar vibes in my daily work in global standard setting. It's the same sort of, except for additional privilege, because they don't just work for big tech companies. Well, yeah, they aren't just in tech, they work for big tech companies and they're like salaried, senior people traveling the world. So it can be really stifling. And I think we have to acknowledge that it isn't just about like adding in and sprinkling on top like some diversity. You actually have to think about removing some of that monoculture and replacing it with diversity. And I think people also really don't like to hear that, but it is actually what has to happen. So we need to, it's something that I think about on the daily. And I think if the Social Web Foundation were to try to articulate that, I think we've done so in the community program of our work. And we aren't just going to generally talk about the Fediverse. We are going to specifically talk about how the Fediverse operates in feminist circles or in Southeast Asia or in, East European journalism communities or something like very, very specific, and not like if we imagine general, we're just like imagining a certain kind of person by default. And I think that's a mistake. Okay, so thank you so much.
Yeah, we could,
email in the chat.
Yeah, we could be talking about this a lot. Yeah, but yeah, if you can go to the shared notes and then also, keep up the conversation there. We just need to go to our next speaker and stay in the tire 20 minutes late officially. Thank you very much, Mallory. Now I want to introduce you to Sayat from the Observatoire des Armements. France, are you there?
Yes, it's okay. How are you, Luca?
I'm great.
Yes, very nice to see you.
Yeah, you have the floor. Go ahead.
Yes, so I will respect. No, I will present a little bit the observatory to link with the data.
Okay, but
data
not
stuff.
a presentation. Not a presentation, PDF or something. No.
No.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yes, presentation about observatory. I will talk about it. It's okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, I was just asking about
yes.
like a PDF or
No, it's okay.
Great.
Thank you. So first of all, we're very happy to meet all of you and this organization. So thank you all, Open Knowledge team, to put all of us together. So I will start quickly. So Observatory of Armament is founded in 1984 in Lyon. So we are a research and documentation center about peace and conflict. We are independent and we are specialized in the field of defense and security. And we are in Lyon in France. Our documentation center is open to public, and our archives contain unique pieces available to students, researchers, journalists, and citizens wishing to obtain more information in this field. So we are working today in two main axes. First one is democratic control of French arms transfers. And it means not only conventional arms, but it means too the dual technology, like drones and semiconductors and other different kind of hardware. And the second one is the elimination of nuclear weapons, as well as the recognition of their health and environmental consequences on populations. For example, for French government, it's Algeria and Polynesia. And it's we take part of United Nations of the population in and perspective of sport the European Network Against Arms Trade, so ENAANT. The opacity of the arms industry and more generally the defense sector pose an obstacle to the democratic organization of European area. And we can observe that substantial public fund allows these companies, arm companies, they are arming other authoritarian regimes around the world. So we are asking the question, what is our collective responsibility on this as a citizen? So in May 2022, we published a report on the impact of armed companies in our region of Rhône-Alpes, their impact conflicts. In particular, we document 11 societies that fuel current wars and repressions in Palestine, Egypt, and the Republic Democratic of Congo. We think that it's really up to each of us to mobilize and to take contact with our decision makers to act to eliminate the region's footprint on human rights violation. It means that in French, and like everywhere, I think, the local, specifically in armament, but in general, have an impact in other countries in the world. And this report, we called it "The War is Being Made Close to Home." As an extension of this study to raise awareness of the role of arms companies in France and their impact on conflicts in the world, we are setting up a weapon watch network. So we started to coordinate a citizen investigation groups in the different cities in France. So as a center of research, we work with open data. We have been able to observe the evolution of the web, which has allowed the researchers to access multiple sources of new information. Today, we are working with quality technicians on the establishment of a research, visualization, and archiving environment or tool to produce a contextualized information. In fact, we think that with this huge amount of data available on the web, making comparison of this data is more than necessary. And the comparison is possible if we can check the data quality and contribute to referencing to other reliable sources on the web galaxy, and where we are meet with Open Data Editor team. So with this little smart software, we can, yes, Open Data Editor has enabled us to get started on this long-term project by offering a lightweight, cross-platform and user-friendly interface accessible to no-code members of our Weapon Watch network. Because how you can imagine, these groups of Weapon Watch network is majority no-code members and technocritical members. So, yes, I think I will come to what collectively we wanted to share to you now. It was in conclusion that 3 points. We saw that pose like action that today in our field of defense and security sector, we have a real opacity problem. And this opacity problem is in the state level, but is in the corporate and industrial level too. So the first action that we propose to put the data online by also civil society. We believe that it can force the authorities to do the same. And when we talk about the open data, we talk not digitalized data. It means the data that we can find in the papers on the different supports than computers. And second one, we can answer to this inertia of authorities. So we propose to create our own databases from the open data already available online and offline. The ability to process the data, specialization, today is reserved to experts. So to create, if you want to create a real balance of forces of power with the authorities, we think that more no-code user or more no-code members should contribute to all work around the data transparency. This is the second point. I hope that I'm clear. And the third point is political. So all of you talked about and we share the same idea. Yes, the tech is political. First of all, our center, we are working more and more with the free softwares. So free as in freedom, of course. And we would like to finish with some questions about hardware. Because you imagine that today the technology is dual today, and it was the same with the nuclear industry. It means that when we are using some products in the civil, they will be used in other contexts. So maybe really peacemaker tech or peace tech, how Nathan was talking about. So I think we have to ask the questions: who producing, where resources come from, and how we can find the energy to put on all this computer stuff. And the last question is the context and intention when we create a new technology, because we saw that the same hardware can be used in a coffee machine, and it can be used in the different armaments. So yes, we would like to finish with this some questions. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Sayat. There are beautiful notes for everything you said in the shared notes, but no questions yet. Anyone has questions for Sayat? Sarah is also joining us from the Open Knowledge Foundation. Help us transit to the second session. Maybe you have some questions, Sarah, for Sayat. I have one. What has changed in your advocacy strategies regarding technology in the last, 20 years, as you guys are an organization that is being active in this field for so many years? Like, how is different today to do your advocacy around data and technology compared to, 20 years ago?
So I will try to communicate the experience, comrades, because in '84 I wasn't here. So, I know that yeah. yes. So that's I know that we tried to put a first research engine. Intel. It was before internet, so they tried to use the better than they can to do the tech, peace tech. I think we had this at the beginning, but we can say that today we have more tools. That's right. We have really very tools to find more information, because before we were working for the investigations only in the paper, and to find a report, for example, to have information about French nuclear, we had more information in the USA reports, for example. So we already worked with this philosophy that information could be open, and we try to search in the other countries and other places if people, they are collected data. And that's right, that today the web galaxy is very useful for us. But what we can we can say really, that we don't, I think we should not forget the archive techniques and the documentation and paper techniques that we developed from a very long time. So we need to find like equilibrium or some kind of harmony with the new text.
Okay, since we are late, I would propose if anyone here has any additional questions for Sayat or additional things, please add them in the notes. And Sayat, if you could keep an eye maybe and see if there are questions coming your way. I wanted to thank you very much for this intervention, which was great. And I think that now we can slowly move to the second session. And of course, like the Observatoire des Armements provided a very smooth transition, because we're going to go through presentation of another organization that has actually piloted Open Data Editor.